I'm the Media Wiz, because one art form wasn't enough. Today we're going to be going back to the theme park reviews, and we're going to be looking at something that was definitely an interesting period for Disney theme parks. The year was 2001, and Disney opened up its second California-based theme park after the classic Disneyland, Disney's California Adventure. It had a bunch of build-up, with ads showing off the costume characters waiting in anticipation for their new next-door park. There was even a full-length TV movie made to promote it, and its reception was very lukewarm at best, with a lot of the attractions seeming pretty mundane, something you typically see more at a local establishment, not a big franchise theme park. Nothing really bad. I mean, they had the badass roller coaster California Screamin'. It didn't help California Adventure's case when other Disney brand parks elsewhere around the world were doing progressively better than they were. And it also didn't really help that it held the failure that was Superstar Limo. More on that, check out my full review if you want. By 2002, a section of the park was developed for younger audiences, that being A Bug's Land, an entire subsection based around A Bug's Life. Now, while I do have a soft spot for this movie, I actually wouldn't have guessed that it would be popular enough to make its own theme park. But hey, it's Disney. If it's marketable, it wouldn't hurt to try. I mean, hey, they made a 3D Bug's Life short film for Animal Kingdom, and that lasted 1998 till 2018. So let's analyze the grand adventures of microscopic proportions going on in our very own backyard. This is a retrospective on A Bug's Land. As you'd expect, the layout of the park has giant four-leaf clovers just like in the movie, as well as costume characters from the film, made to emulate that the park visitors are now in the tiny, tiny world of A Bug's Life. So far, nothing really that bad, keeping in spirit with the movie. Then we get to the first ride, Flix Flyers. It's a spinning ride where you have these vehicles that look like they were assembled from everyday objects like food containers, and they spin.
You spin my head right round, when you go down, down.
Honestly, I like spinning rides. Hell, I could see more people saying that they like Golden Zephyr more than this. I mean, you just kind of sway from side to side, and that's kind of it. Like most of what we'll be looking at, the biggest compliment that I could give is that it is well built. The designs aren't that bad. It's just kind of a lackluster generic spinning ride. Next, Heimlich's Choo Choo Train. Yeah, punny title. I'm just gonna say this right now, Heimlich is possibly the most memorable character in A Bug's Life. He was funny, he had a great voice done by the late great Pixar veteran Joe Ranft, and his only dream was to one day become a beautiful butterfly, and by the end of the movie, he accomplished that wish.
My wings! Oh, they're beautiful!
Heimlich, the wagon is taking off! You better start flying!
But I am flying!
So the ride itself is Heimlich taking you in a circle as he looks for things to eat. Riveting.
Eat all my carrots before I get any candy corn!
By God, we've entered the realm of James and the Giant Peach!
Oh! Watermelon! Oh! Come with me into the watermelon!
Watermelon loves watermelon!
Heimlich says screw the Brussels sprouts, showing that even insects won't touch the stuff, and heads on over to the Casey Jr. cookie box from the movie. Oh, so that's what these graham cracker things would have looked like. And you know the caterpillar still has room for dessert, so now that he can take on some random morsels of candy and a cupcake.
Oh, all of this chewing has made me full! Excuse me!
It's okay, Heimlich. It's obviously just a stock sound effect. And then Heimlich catches a glimpse of his favorite food of all time, candy corn.
Candy corn! I must be a Heimlich Captain! Oh, look at that beautiful candy corn there! Oh, candy corn! Here, let me help you to finish it!
Even though he's holding a piece of candy corn, you know what, it's probably best not to question that stuff. And like that, the ride is over. This one's better than Flix Flyers, mainly because it has a more interesting concept for it. I mean, going around a backyard full of snacks from a bug's perspective, you know, kind of like that other animated bug movie did. Yeah, whatever. Next, Francis's Ladybug Boogie. It's another spinning ride, but this time it's laid out like Mad Tea Party over in Disneyland. But this time, the teacups are made up to have Francis's face, and you're not able to spin the vehicle around with the wheel in the center. Nothing more to say about this one. It's nice that they wanted to implement the characters more, but Mad Teacups is a lot better than this. So next, Tuck and Roll's Drive 'em Buggies. It's bumper cars made to look like the Pillbug Duo. And you bump into others' cars in a very slow fashion. And I mean slow. Too slow for the bump to have any kind of impact. Exciting. Last up, and this barely qualifies as a ride, but the park itself had an area called Princess Dot Puddle Park, and it served as a way to try and cool off visitors during the summer with these water sprinklers. I'll give them this. I think that the water system designed to look like a giant garden hose is kind of a cute addition, but it's pretty standard as functionality goes. So that's what the park had to offer, but what exactly happened to A Bug's Land? Well, in 2010, the neighboring area of Bountiful Valley Farms, which was designed as a way to tribute agriculture, was inevitably shutting down, along with the resident shops and restaurants in the area. This was done to make room for a Cars Land. As pleasant as that part of the park seemed, I could totally see why they would do it. I'm not really a fan of the Cars movies by any stretch, but them building a subsection based around the movies, Cars being one of the most marketable Pixar properties, makes sense to me. There's a ton that you could do with an area dedicated to a world of sentient cars. Early 2018, it was announced that Bugs Land was going to be closed to make way for a Marvel-themed area in 2020. Again, it makes sense considering the boom of comic book movies by Marvel, and in September of 2018, Bugs Land finally closed its doors. So that was Bugs Land, and it's very mediocre. Much like a lot of the earlier rides at California Adventure, I think the biggest problem with A Bug's Land is that the rides were just a little too average. I mean, yeah, they were made up to look like A Bug's Life, but they didn't really make any effort to make the rides stand out. 2 spinning rides, bumper cars that barely bump into anything, and the best ride in the area was probably Heimlich's Choo Choo Train, because at least it was something. Sure, it was a cart ride that just went around in a circle, but it was something. In comparison to another Pixar ride that I reviewed, I really don't think that the rides in Bugs Land were as good as something like Mike and Sully to the Rescue, mainly because it's one ride, and even so, I still think Mike and Sully actually did a very good job at taking an awful ride and making it entertaining. On the positive side of Bugs Land, the rides were never really bad per se. It didn't have the annoying factor like the It's a Small World song, nor was it unbearably lame like Superstar Limo. It was designed to be a section for kiddie family rides, and it was harmless in that department. While some of the rides were generic, at the end of the day, Bugs Land was a totally serviceable little subsection of park that was dedicated for families who had really young kids. But over the years, as Disney's collected a bunch of other franchises to work with, it's not hard to see why Marvel is going to be replacing it in 2020. I'm the Media Wiz, because One Art Form wasn't enough, and tune in next time where we look at something straight out of Animal Kingdom.
Remember the time spent riding Heimlich's choo-choo train. Remember the fun times flying in cardboard containers. Remember the time spent chasing down all the characters. So long we've gone, so choo-choo on.